I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I've basically stopped using this ThinkPad, or I mean, if I use a ThinkPad, I generally use my X60 to play retro. Well, I guess I don't know what retro is anymore. Old visual novels that have run better on 32-bit systems. Like 99% of the time, I'm either on my I mean 99% of the time I'm on my desktop, right? Because 99% of the time I'm gaming. Because I am fucking hopelessly addicted to Team Fortress 2. Um, and here's the thing about this computer, right? Is I replaced the thermal paste in it at some point, which I had been needing to do for years, and I finally did it, right? And after I did that, I don't know what I did when I was putting it back together, but the keyboard has never quite felt right ever since then. Like something about it has just felt kind of mushy and weird. I have no fucking clue what I did wrong, but that's one thing that's kind of put me off from using the ThinkPad. The second thing that's kind of put me off from using the ThinkPad is the fact that I did have a really comfy OpenBSD installed that I loved. And it was my favorite fucking operating system that I'd used. I loved it. It was amazing. And then I was like, I'm going to bring this laptop to Estonia. And I want to play visual novels when I'm in Estonia. So I need to install Linux so that I can run Wine and play visual novels. So I installed Artix just with nothing, right? This is just literally exactly the same as the moment I installed it. I've touched nothing. And then it wouldn't fit in my bag along with everything else I was taking. So I ended up taking my Mac instead because it's thinner. Um, and since then, every time I open this, actually that's not true. I have touched it because I've installed Steam, but I don't even have a wallpaper or rice or anything. And basically, the point I'm trying to make here is that it's uncomfy to use this computer because it's not set up how I want it, and setting it up how I want it, even though it wouldn't take that long, is just a pain that I haven't been bothered to go through yet because it's not novel anymore to set up a computer with a nice window manager and stuff. Like when I used to make more videos about Linux, all of that stuff was kind of cool and new to me. But at this point, I've installed Linux and installed a window manager and set up all my dot files so many fucking times that it's just annoying. Like there's nothing, and I don't want to change it because I already have experimented a bunch and found exactly what I like. It's like I don't want to fuck around and like I already know what I want. It's just a fucking pain to go through the effort. But this is not a video about any of that. This is a video about laying around watching a bunch of seasonal bullshit until I don't know, get bored or whatever. Um, and there's a third reason why I don't use this ThinkPad that often, and that's because the headphone jack is broken, and so I need to use this fucking dongle to plug my headphones in. Um, but that's not that big of a deal. So now I guess I'm gonna just try real quick and rice this computer. Actually, I haven't updated this in so long. Will it even work? Like, look at that. Oh my god. This video will be about anime. Give me a minute to fix my computer. I don't, this shit's probably gonna fucking break. I don't know what I'm gonna do then. And time. I started watching this video in the background. It took me about 46 minutes. It should not have taken 46 minutes. It should have taken half that amount of time. But I have forgotten how to do things because it's been a while since I've done things. Let's see what happens if I do this. LibreWolf. Epic. Okay, well, I started recording this because of something. I was doing something. I was watching something. But that was so long ago now. I don't have a bar working at the bottom of my screen, so please ignore that. There was a guy, he was in a dungeon, he was killing slimes. Was it this season? What the fuck? Who am I? Who are you? And what are you doing in my room? It wasn't this. It wasn't this at all. It wasn't this at all. What fucking was it? I don't know. I tried to watch this. It was garbage. I mean, the first episode, it was okay. It was basically okay. But none of this is what the fuck I'm talking about. Where was it? I don't know what the fuck it was called, bro. How am I supposed to? Hold on. Did I just find it from the homepage of this? Oh my god, I forgot how garbage Cube Browser's ad block is. Hold on, I'm not using Cube Browser. This is what the fuck I was watching. I was watching a Nobody's Way Up to an Exploration Hero level. I don't know when this came up. What is this? What the fuck? Like, what is this? We don't know. Does the volume keys work? No, I never bound them to anything. So they don't fucking work. But here we are. Well, I don't fucking know what I've done, but this computer has like insane screen tearing now. Look at this shit. Can you guys see how insane the screen tearing is? Like, every time the camera pans in an ad, look at that shit. It's actually unwatchably bad. I don't know how the fuck to fix it, because I'd never used it. This never used to be a thing. I'm gonna have to. I don't fucking know. This is just a no thank you to tries to make a Linux work. This has never been a problem. I've had this computer for years, and this has never been a problem. And now all of a sudden, I don't know if you guys can even tell, but like it's really bad. That was fairly easy to fix. I just installed PyCom and turned VSync on. Okay, I'm gonna watch this fucking show. I watched the first episode of this show. What's it even called? It's called some bullshit. And Nobody's Way Up to an Exploration Hero level. When did this come out? Is this like recent? It looks recent, but I have I don't even fucking know what the show is. It just showed up for me. So this show is pretty interesting. It's kind of framed like an isekai. But it's not an isekai. It's just a sekai. um, the premise is that the main, or I guess there's just a dungeon just in the world, but it's just like you could see from the main character's clothes, like it's in like an amusement park type of situation, and you go to the dungeon and fight monsters and level up and whatever, and it's not quite, I guess for fun, I guess, but it's just modern Japan. Um, like in the first episode, the main character's killing slimes with bug spray, which is pretty funny. Uh, so already it's kind of an interesting concept, right? It's kind of different from uh the typical isekai or anything like that. Um, I'm trying to think of what else I have to say about this show. Oh yeah, and then what happens is main character finds like a golden slime, kills the golden slime, and then gets a lucky drop, a rare drop, which is like a summon, who's this cute lolly girl or whatever. But she's super powerful, and and that's the show so far. That was the first episode, really. And now that he has a summon with him, he can go down to the deeper levels and fight people who aren't just slimes. And that's the premise so far. And I guess we're just gonna see where it takes us. I guess we're just gonna, I don't know, see what the fuck happens in this stupid show. You know how fucking hard it is to find a decent fucking Firefox theme. Holy shit, man! Fire, bro, my monitor isn't that big. Don't cover half my fucking screen with the giant URL bar and tabs. Like, why is it not just on one line by default? Oh, I need buttons. I need buttons. Motherfucker, I got a keyboard to do my shit. And now I've had to restart the browser because I was getting annoyed. And now, fuck you. I think I fucked up whenever I was repasting my shit. Because, like, why the fuck am I running at, like, 70, 80 degrees CPU temp just watching a fucking anime? You know what I'm saying? Apparently this show is, like, Fucking no one watched it, and everyone who did hated it. It has a 5 on Mal, which is really rare. 5 is like extremely low for Mal. People fucking hated this show. Holy shit, why? It's not that bad. It's not great, but it's not that bad. Just because it has lollies in it? It's Fate with lollies? No, it isn't. It's nothing like Fate. What are you talking about? I don't understand. I don't understand Mal uses at all. This is just like very generic, but well, I mean, it's not necessarily generic. I mean, in quality, it's very average. It looks like shit. Okay, I'll give him that. It's fucking ugly as shit. Extremely fucking ugly anime. Uh, which is a shame. But I think it's just because it's like a little more slice of lifey that people are hating on it. Maybe I don't know why is it so? Let's read some bad reviews. Let's see. And nobody's way up to an exploration hero. Does the inspiration to go dungeoning make for a zero to hero experience? Okay, this is fucking badly written. Okay, I don't understand what your point you're trying to make there, buddy. Okay, never read Mal reviews. They're the worst written fucking literature you can find on the entire internet. I'm shocked to see this has such a low score. Like, it's really not that bad. It's not good, but it's not that bad. It was from last season. Let me tell you a story. Originally, this was going to be a laying around watching fall 2024, but like most of the shows haven't even started yet. So I'm just doing summer 2024 instead, and I picked a random fucking show without looking, and it turns out to have been a deeply despised. They made an adaptation of this? Wait, what? That's a visual novel I know about. I haven't read it, but I know about it. Isn't it Key? I don't know, man. Yeah, this fucking show. This is what we're watching. Mobu kara hajimaru tansaku e yutan. I don't know. I mean, look, the show's not good. When no one's pretending that the show's good. What was last season even about? What did we have? Like, this fucking Alia-san Russian show was really popular, which is weird because it's also like very generic. I think we could call this like a little bit of a slightly more throwback season in the sense that we got this show, which is kind of like a harem show from 2013, and this show, which is kind of like a slice of life comedy from 2013. Um, and that's kind of interesting. We're in a throwback era of anime, and I don't know what that means, but I do like the fact that there's no. Well, I don't know. This show was popular for some reason. It was kind of bad. Uh, isn't there some show which is like this one? I had a friend who was into this. We're gonna watch this one next. Make Heroine ga o Sugiru. Um, we're gonna watch this show next. We're fully old school up in this bitch, you know? It's like fucking late as shit. What the hell did I just do? Get back in there, Firefox. This isn't even Firefox. It's like fucking dark. I've been up all night. It's anime on a ThinkPad. It's one of these videos. It's another one of these, which we don't normally do. One of these, you know. We're not in the habit of doing these anymore. we're very throwback. We're throwing it back. I think it's that stupid fucking streaming site I'm using. Why is my CPU temp so high? Also, I just realized when I was showing you that I had erased my computer, I don't even fucking have a fetch installed. Does it come with NeoFetch? There we go. Boom. Gotta do that, right? You gotta you gotta do that when you get a computer set up. Anyway, um, why is my CPU temp so high? It when I'm playing a video, I think it's just that stupid fucking streaming site that I'm using, and so I'm gonna just I'm gonna go back to the old school and torrents and MPV. Anyway, I'm gonna go make some beans on toast now because beans on toast are the one of the most nutritious and cheap meals I can um, that exist. I think it might be the single most best value for money meal because I can get a can of beans for like if I just go to my local shop and they have their own brand of baked beans, it's about 50p. And then a loaf of bread is about 50p as well. Um, and that's a lot of bread. And a can of beans can be two portions of baked beans, so on of beans on toast. So I mean, you're eating a whole meal for less than 50p, and it's filling, and it's beans, which is lots of protein, lots of fiber, and they're in a sauce which is like tomato sauce, so there's some extra stuff in that. It's basically the best possible meal in terms of value for money, as far as I can tell. Um, yeah, and if I wanted to really save the pennies, I could make a bit of an extra trek to go for even cheaper cans of beans. You can get cans of baked beans for even cheaper than I'm getting them, but I normally don't do that because, it's a long fucking trek all the way to and from the shop that sells them cheaper. So I normally don't do that just to save like 20p per can, which I guess over time would add up, but I already have a large stockpile of beans, so I'm just gonna go dig into my large stockpile of beans. I'm on episode 5. I gotta talk about this anime. This is supposed to be a laying around watching, and I'm not even talking about the show at all. The show's fine. There's really not much to say about it. I actually quite like it. Like, I don't know why it's being so hated, or maybe it has like a terrible ending, or it gets really bad later on. But it's not great. It's not amazing, but it's like kind of comfy, to be honest. You know, like this guy, nothing much happens. I think it's just the Normans are being scared off by the fact that nothing much happens. Right? Like, there's not really much plot. The basic premise of the show is very RPG like. Um, is in a certain, or it's like it's the anime equivalent of Cookie Clicker, where the number just kind of goes up, and there's not really the number can't really go down, right? And it's kind of the same thing um with this show in the sense that like the guy just sort of is slowly progressing through the levels, and that's the show. That's the anime. His harem is slowly expanding, and he's slowly leveling up in the dungeon, and that's pretty much all there is to it. There's nothing more complex going on than that. Um, in terms of quality, visual quality, the animation is definitely far from the worst I've ever seen, but not good. Uh, I would put it about average for modern mid-budget anime, TV anime. It's about average, maybe not helped by visual design that I don't particularly like. Maybe it's the case that there was a because I read something that there was like it's based on a manga and that the manga is like very different from the anime. So like maybe that's why it's rated so low. Maybe people who read the manga really hate the anime adaptation. I don't know. Seems possible, but would enough people actually read manga to have an impact on the Mal rating? I don't know. I don't know, personally. Because a 5 point anything on Mal is rare and very low for a Mal rating. Like, this show does not deserve that at all. Like, it's not great. Again, I don't want to come out here and sing its praises. There's a reason I spent this video talking about Linux troubleshooting instead of this fucking show, because nothing happens in it. And, like, yeah, it's got a bunch of cute girls in it, but the girls are not that cute and they're not particularly uh, fleshed out as characters. I mean, no one is. The main character, I couldn't tell you a single thing about him. I guess he's kind of cowardly. That's like the only. He's kind of timid and cowardly, but there's not. That's kind of the extent of his characterization. Um, the only interesting thing about the show is the world building, which actually is quite interesting. And I'll probably talk about more about that a little later after I have some beans and maybe when I finish the show. I don't know if I'm even. I should have time to finish both of these anime today. Um, yeah, I don't know if there's anything else really. I think this art style that the show has would be so much improved if all of these modern shows just gave up on this like super thin outline meme. I don't know where this fucking meme came from, but just make your outlines a tiny bit thicker, just a few pixels thicker. It will just give so much more weight to the animation. I don't know why all of these shows do this. Like, what is it about this super fucking thin? Because it's not just like a modern style. Because a lot of mobile games don't have this, and like visual novels and whatever, and anime. There's a lot of anime that are modern and don't have these like insanely 1 pixel thin brush outlines. So I don't fucking know why these shows do it because it just looks terrible. It looks like noisy. It doesn't look good, in my opinion at least. Um, I like a thicker outline for my characters, personally speaking. Uh, there's interesting, there's honestly kind of interesting world building in this anime. Like I'm not even gonna lie. All right, it's beans time. Here's what you do. I'm not gonna show you the cooking segment. Actually, maybe I will show you the cooking segment. No, the kitchen's kind of a mess. Is the kitchen that? It's a bit of a mess. Let's see. Maybe I'll do. Maybe this will be a cooking segment. Right. Grab a plate. Add some bread. Bread in the toaster. Put this on. Now. The star of the show, beans. Look at that. Beans. We only want about half the can, so take about half. Yeah. Okay, now what I like to do is put a little bit of chili flakes. Spice it up a little bit. A little bit of chili flakes. Oftentimes I'll saute some garlic or onions or something to put in there, but there's no point in doing that today. We're just chilling today. But what I am going to do is, and also okay, cheese. Oh, and plenty of black pepper is the other thing. And I also find this particular brand of beans doesn't have enough salt. But I don't want to add too much salt because I'm going to put I'm not going to actually add the salt to the beans. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add salt to the whole dish. Toast. I'm going to add salt to the whole dish. I'm going to assault the dish with some butter. And then, this is a very British meal, incredibly British. Some Marmite. If you don't know what this is, it's like British soy sauce or some shit. It's like umami, salty, fermented yeast extract. It's like concentrated yeast extract. If you've ever eaten nutritional yeast, if you're a vegan, you know about nutritional yeast. It's umami in a similar way that is. It's also quite salty, so you don't use much. And then, I just grab this thing. I'm going to put some cheese on it as well. A little bit of extra protein and cheese, but mostly for flavor. And then the beans, which are now finished cooking. Just trying to think, I feel like I'm forgetting something somehow, even though, what is there to forget? Oh, beans. Sure to get all of that sauce. Okay. And there we have it, folks. Beans on toast. Delicious. I'm telling you, Americans hate this dish for some reason. I have no idea why. It's not like, no one's out here pretending that this is gourmet food, right? This is like comfort food. It's like the British equivalent of like Kraft mac and cheese or something, right? It's like something you ate when you were a kid. It's cheap, and it gets the job done. But unlike that, this is like actually got a bunch of protein in it and is healthy. So, you know, I don't know what the fuck anyone's complaining about. It tastes pretty good, especially when you put shit in it. Which, by the way, almost no one just eats straight up beans on toast with no anything. Everyone puts like cheese on it at least. Most people put other shit in it, like I did. You know, Worcestershire sauce is a common one. Um, any sort of herbs and spices you happen to have. Pretty much everyone I know adds some shit like that to their beans. Hot sauce, you know. But ultimately, it's pretty good. Like, what's not to like? I don't understand why there's such hate around this dish. It tastes good. It's literally good. Then the the website I was watching this on had like auto skip openings turned on, which I normally just skip the openings anyway. Normally, I listened to the OP for the first episode and then skip, and I was like, who cares about this OP? I'm listening to it for the first time now. It kind of bangs. The singer going all out. I kind of fuck with it personally speaking. It's a bit corny. It's very corny, but he's given a good performance. I can tell that, as in he's like shouting real loud. He's singing with all of his might, and I can tell that they've had to auto tune the shit out of him. That's fucking insane. This is such a stupid event in the anime. Fucking the he got a red. Okay, so let me just give you a little rundown. He got, because of the rare summon he has, the bitch, the lolly girl, who's like the god. Hey, the sun's coming up. This is ultimate comfy, guys. This is literally so nostalgic. Being in this bed, watching anime on my ThinkPad as the sun rises. I'm not gonna turn the camera and show you because some professional GeoGuessr player is gonna pinpoint my exact location, but incredibly nostalgic feeling for me. It's been so long since I've done this. Normally I don't know. Anyway, uh, so because of this is a really stupid plot contrivance, but whatever. Because of that girl, he has a special cheat skill, which he even says is a cheat skill in the show. He says it's a cheat skill, and it's like you get better drop luck, right? Um, better random drops, and he gets a random drop that is like a little knife, like a little steak knife looking thing, and it's called like the fucking, hold on, what's it called? I'm trying to, the magic sword of Balazar. That's what it's called. And what it does, and you're like, oh, cool, he got a sword. And then in the next episode, when he uses it, what the item does is it just does whatever damage you imagine it's going to do. So if you, like, hold on, isn't that just like completely game breaking? Because why would you ever not imagine it being the strongest thing ever? So he just like easily pokes a guy with it who's like a strong guy, and just is like, I'm imagining that you're gonna explode, and then kills him one, like, okay, that's too OP. I don't necessarily like this show because okay, so it's one of these things, right, where there's a difference. I don't know why this exists because this doesn't really make any sense, but there's a difference to me between a character being strong and their items being strong. Like, technically, there's no difference if the way that your isekai protagonist gets his cheat skill is because he has a superpower magic or because he finds a really strong sword. Like, it doesn't really make a difference in the story. But in my mind, it makes a difference for some reason. In my mind, it's much cooler if it's the guy that's strong rather than just he's using a strong weapon. It kind of feels arbitrary then. It doesn't feel like personal to him. Does that make sense? And then in the earlier parts of the show, when he's relying almost entirely on summons, on the two girls to fight everything for him, then it's like, well, I don't really care that he's weak because these other characters are other cool guys, right? The other characters are cool. But I don't know, that this fucking Sword of Balthus, that's stupid. That's a really dumb, brain dead way to get to solve that fucking how do I make my character stronger problem. He could have like why there's a level system in the game, in the dungeon. Like why not just make it so that he's I don't fucking know. None of this show makes any sense. The decisions are strange. There were I don't even know how to communicate it to you. Like I don't know, man. Another thing I've just noticed, and I don't know how it took me this long to figure this out, but I kept hearing this melody in the background music of the show and being like, that sounds oddly familiar. And then I realized the background song is just Caravan, the jazz song. You may know it from the movie Whiplash. It goes like, yeah, anyway. Um, Caravan, but it's kind of like a almost like a klezmer version of Caravan. It's actually kind of sick. I don't know. Okay, so there's this moment here. I don't know why is the title in like Indonesian or what I what is that? That's not what it says. Is it? Wait, am I going fucking crazy? Am I going in No. Look, the file name is not that. What is going on? Okay, I don't know. But if you go to episode 6 and you go to about 16 minutes in, you can hear this for yourself. None of you are going to do this because why would you? But the audio is mixed really badly. Like the music. Hold on. There's like a. I can tell exactly what's happened here, but I don't know how it's happened. Like somehow a really loud, really low, like 40 hertz sub bass has happened in the and like it's really loud to the point where it's peaking the rest of and it's in the music track. It's in the BGM track. Um and it's peaking the rest of the mix like really badly. Like it's distorting the rest of the music like a distorted 808, but it's like an orchestral song. So I think what's happened is there's like timpani or like drums of some kind. I think the drums have been I think it's a recording error more than a mixing error. Um, I don't exactly know how it's happened. Uh, Actually, it's probably not a recording error because these are probably like fake drums. They're probably a VST. Hold on, I'm gonna listen to this again. It's definitely the drums. The drums are like really, really bassy, and they're mixed. The bass is just too loud, and it's peaking like it's just distorting the rest of the mix really, really obviously. Like it's the sort of thing that any half decent produce like if you're making a song for a TV show, you don't typically want it to be mixed in this way. Like, I like distortion in my music, but if I was hired to score a TV show, I would produce a very clean, professional sounding mix. How you turn a mix that sounds like this in is fucking baffling to me. Because this is not something that's hard to spot. You would notice it instantly and just fix it with EQ. It wouldn't be that hard to fix, really. It would take, yeah, you shouldn't have made this mistake in the first place, but if you've made it, you can fix it very easily. Um, so I don't know how the fuck that ended up in the final product. That is like piss poor quality control. But then, because it's peaking so loud, it's even like bleeding over into the vocal mix, like these bitches talking. You know, like you actually, it's like a Christopher Nolan movie. You can't fucking hear what they're saying because the bass on these like orchestral drums is just absurdly loud. But it doesn't sound that loud coming through the headphones because they've got a fat fucking limiter on the whole thing. Um, so it doesn't. It's just weird. It's just fucking weird audio error to make. Like really basic shit that should never happen. Yeah, I've decided to just pull it up on the computer with better speakers so you can actually hear it. Listen to the music. Listen to how it's just distorting because the bass in the drums is too fucking loud. Can you hear that? It's actually so bad. Like, it's absurd. The compressor or limiter that they have on the Master is like fucking trying its best to hold these. Maybe you guys can't tell, I don't know. Whatever. It's fucking egregious. Trust me, as someone who knows this shit. It's fucking egregious. I still think the world building of this show is actually really interesting. Like the dungeon itself, right? They discovered a dungeon. They discovered a bunch of monsters in the dungeon. In modern day Japan, they discovered that when you kill the monsters, you get some sort of gem of some kind. And then they discovered that that gem can be is valuable. It's useful, I believe, as an energy source. Um, to make denki. Um, and so to collect the gems, like the dungeon itself is serves such an interesting role because it's like in the middle of a theme park or like right next to a theme park. It's like a theme park attraction, but it's also like actively dangerous. First of all, you can very much get beat up or get lost and stuck or die if you go in the dungeon. You have to bring your own weapons and armor and shit, which you buy with real money from Amazon, right? And you go there and you go down into the dungeon and you kill the monsters to collect the gems, which you then sell to the dungeon owners who pay you for whatever you get. So it's like a job to explore the dungeon, and presumably, if you're good enough at it, you can be a pro, right? But also, it's a amusement park thing. It's like it's kind of a really interesting little thing in society. It's almost like a completely novel form of entertainment, right? Going to the dungeon, use something. It's kind of dangerous. Kind of like dangerous, kind of a job. It's kind of like gambling. It's kind of like exercising, sports. You know, it's kind of fascinating. Like that's kind of an interesting, nuanced bit of world building there. You know, like this show does not deserve the such a low score on my anime list. It's bizarre that people hate this show so much. Like, it's not that bad at all. The it's such a weird thing. Like the reason there's a whole park, including an amusement park, this is they're doing a bit of lore dumping. there's more than just the amusement park around the dungeon. Because they found the dungeon, which was in the middle of nowhere, and then they built shit around it, right? Including an amusement park, but also including just a park in general that's 3 kilometers in diameter or in radius. In radius. Um, because the items, magic items from the dungeon, stop working once you get outside of 3 kilometers. So there's a whole research, all the research area stuff, science shit happens within this park around. I don't know. It explains why you can't have health potions in the real world. I don't know. It's interesting. It seems a bit like a cop out, obviously, right? But also, I like that it's upfront about being a cop out. They're not trying to come up with some bullshit. They're like, this is the real world. I don't care if I have to do a cop out to make it stay the real world. It's gonna be like this. This is absurdly stupid. You guys have to see this. This comes out of nowhere. Remember, main character guy, regular ass guy, not even particularly athletic, just a completely regular guy. No superpowers, dungeon stuff doesn't work outside of the dungeon. Completely regular ass guy. And this just happens out of fucking nowhere. They're nowhere near the. It doesn't make any sense. The ball just teleports. It's clearly heading straight for her head, right? But then when he kicks it, it's up here, nowhere near her head. Like, was it going? I guess if it's going in like an arc, like this, which didn't look like that's what was happening in this shot, because it's barely over her head, and she's significantly below them. Like that is clearly about to arc sort of. Well, actually, it looks like it's gonna miss her. To be honest, um, I mean, this is a straight on view. So the ball is clearly heading like here, but somehow it teleports up here, first of all, where he kicks it for some reason. Where also, this is an insanely high jump because he's on the stairs below her and he's jumping all the. This is just insanely. This is a world record high jump that he pulls off. And then he like also fucks up the bicycle kick because this is not how like a bicycle kick is not supposed to be like a scoop, right? It's supposed to be you kick the ball at the peak of the thing, but instead he sort of scoops the ball all the way around. I used to. What is this? The ball's now going straight down. Also, you guys didn't hear that because you don't have headphones in, like I have headphones in. But when he kicks the ball, it makes a kick sound here. It makes the sound of a kicking of a football there. But then it makes another sound of the kicking of a football. Where's my frames? Here, like in this frame, it makes the kicking a football sound again. Not how anything works. And then the ball just instantly teleports to the back of the net. Just instantly. Which doesn't make any sense because how is it traveling? We got the camera Dutch angle tilted like this. So the ball is traveling straight into the net. Even though we just saw him kick the ball down, like down the stairs where he's presumably way above the football pitch. And then also, extra bizarre, there's no net on the back of this net until it just spawns in. What is this? What the fuck is this? Look at that. What is that? Why would they do it like that? This is insane. Why would they do it like that? And then they were like, what? But look how high off the ground he is. It's in. So, wait, you're telling me he kicked the ball all the way from over to the stairs into the goal, which there's no. I have no idea where these things are in relation to each other, okay? Like, the 180-degree rule has been broken. I have no clue where this is taking place right now. Like, there's clearly a fence and a building behind these people. So where the fuck is the goal? Where there's no fence? Like, they're on a rooftop with a fence surrounding the football pitch, right? Like, how how the fuck are there trees and no fence? Where are these trees? They're on a fucking roof. Where are these trees? Where's any other buildings that were just a... This is insane. This might be the most insane sequence I've ever seen in an anime. The rest of the show is not this bad, I promise you. This comes out of fucking nowhere. I don't understand how they let this go with the net just spawning in. That is just insane. What did I just fucking watch? Okay, so the show definitely does get worse as it goes on. There was a big battle in this episode, and it was supposed to be sort of climactic and intense, but they really didn't even try. Um, it is so poorly animated at parts and poorly directed that it's just distracting. And the sound mixing is really bad. Like, it's just generally unprofessional. Lots of like just surprisingly unprofessional stuff that shouldn't get through the production stage. You know, like it's the sort of thing that doesn't take very long to. The sounds, I don't know, man, just bad mixing. Whole show really badly mixed, but that fight scene in particular just really weird. The music really like way too quiet, while the like sound effects way too loud. All of them the same volume, so that like a sword swing is the same volume as an explosion, and so like there's no dynamics to the mix, and then the music is way too quiet, so the whole scene feels like awkwardly silent instead of intense. And then the pacing of the dialogue and the directing just really saps all of the flow and sense of continuity and timing out of the scene. So there's just no tension, even though it's supposed to be a fairly tense scene. And the animation is so limited that they really should have tried to get creative with how they showed the attacks and the fight taking place, but they just didn't. They just tried to take shortcuts, which is pretty disappointing. But it really did make that fight just kind of suck ass. And, you know, none of this mattered that much in the earlier parts of the show where they were fighting low level monsters and they were very low stakes and it was mostly slice of lifey. It didn't really matter that the anime. That's one of the advantages of comedy anime and slice of life anime and stuff like that is that it doesn't really matter if your animation is limited because it's not about the animation. It doesn't really matter if you don't have good fight choreography because there's no fights. But in this episode, where it centers around a big climactic battle, like there's no tension or build up leading to the battle. The guy just shows up out of fucking nowhere. He's never been in, like, you have no context for who this guy is. Like, he should have been introduced and foreshadowed multiple episodes earlier leading up to this. And this whole episode should, I don't know, man. He just comes out of nowhere. You're like, who the fuck is this guy? He's acting like, I don't know, man. You get just no, no tension, no tension, no fucking nothing. Really bad episode. That being said, there were some fun moments. There was also just like awkward pacing. Like this girl, right? She gets powered up and turns into an adult by draining main guy's like life force, right? Um, which should be a fairly intense scene, right? Like, oh, I have to power up and risk, dying, etc., right? Uh, but instead, she is like absurdly overpowered. So it's like this guy who shows up, this demon guy who's evil and shows up, which he's not even evil. He just kind of shows up and it's just implied like ideally if you he's the first monster in the dungeon who is humanoid enough to like have a voice and a name and shit, right? Like all the other monsters have been monstery monsters. Then randomly there's this guy who's a demon who looks like a guy with horns and speaks, right? And it's like, okay, you have to actually start making characterization then. Like, I don't, it's not particularly impressive. I need a reason to hate that guy, you know? And they didn't give me any because he just shows up out of fucking completely out of nowhere. Um, and they don't have time to make me hate him because they never foreshadowed him or anything, right? Like, this should have been something fucked up happens with this guy. They look like something bad happens to one of the main characters that we care about because of this guy. And then he shows up out of nowhere later as a surprise, and you're like, oh fuck, is that guy? He's back. I fucking hate that guy. And then they kill him. Because now you're killing a person, and that requires a different level of characterization than just killing like a monster that's trying to kill you. But she turned this she turns into this adult form and powered up form, and then so the demon guy is easily wiping the floor with everyone. But then when she powers up, she is now like absurdly overpowered and not taking any damage from the demon guy's attacks. She is just like god tier, uh strength, whatever the fuck. She just eats, it's not even anything. And so that just saps all of the stakes immediately because she doesn't have to even fight. She just sort of stands there and he attacks her with a spell and the spell doesn't work and then she just attacks him back with her own spell and it kills him immediately with no fanfare. Like what is supposed to be the most powerful spell we've seen in the show so far is just looks like every other spell. Like there's no special attention paid to the build up to what should be a really cool attack. It's just nothing. Um, and it lasts for like, and that whole segment of the episode lasts for like 30 seconds. Like it's so short. You don't even really have time for it to sink in. Also, this like you can power up your fucking lollygirls by having draining your own life force mechanic never introduced before comes up literally 2 seconds before they decide to do it. Like that should have been again that should have been set up in earlier episodes so we knew that was an option and we have a sense of how dangerous it is because it just comes out of fucking nowhere as a, a Deus Ex Machina to win the fight. It's dumb. It's really dumb and poorly executed. And then, for like the same length of the fight, you get an unfunny joke sequence where Lucia is like, which is the demon girl that is now powered up, is like, I'm not going to transform back unless you say that I look elegant in my adult form, right? And then the main character guy's like, you look elegant, you look elegant. And then this just goes on and on. Like this stupid throwaway joke. They just repeat the same joke 4 times for no reason. It wasn't funny the first time. It's like, okay, I don't care if you want to put one unfunny joke, but don't repeat your unfunny joke 4 times. That is time in the episode that should have been spent on the fucking fight. Like characterization or something, not this dumb shit. So yeah, really bad episode. If the whole show was like that, I would definitely understand why it was given such a low rating. But the thing is, the whole show hasn't been like that up to this point. The only goofy moments are the ones I've pointed out. The football thing, which I just showed you, and this demon fight thing, which was really bad. There was also some bad mixing earlier, but the rest of that scene was fine. There was nothing wrong with that scene or that sequence or anything. It had completely decent animation and directing and voice acting, whatever. Like, it was just that the audio mixing was off. But this one is like a complete failure from start to finish. Like, everyone involved fucked up. Okay, at the end of the last episode, one of the characters, human characters, completely out of nowhere just fucking died? Like, when I say out of nowhere, I mean was just walking along and then died. Like, coughed up blood, fell over. We don't know if she's actually dead, but at the very least, threw up or coughed up a bunch of blood and then fell unconscious suddenly. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then the next episode is 2 years previously. I don't know. I gotta go fucking have a shower and buy some spinach and eggs. Gotta buy eggs actually. That's the most important thing because I'm out of eggs. Um, but I have 2 episodes left, so I don't know what order to do these things in. I don't know if I should. I actually have 3 episodes left. Fuck. Alright, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fucking go have a shower, and then I'm gonna go to the shops, and then I'm gonna come back from the shop, and I'm gonna finish this anime. And I'm not gonna watch that other show today because I'm too tired. And this show has definitely declined in quality as it's gone on. Now, as much as I dug on Mal users for giving it a 5 point something, that's because the average score on Mal is actually like 7, right? If you see a show with a 7, that means average. 6 means below average. 5 means significantly below average. There are very few shows that get a below a 5 on Mal, on their average ratings. However, I am not a retard like the average Mal user, and I mean, when I give a show a 5, I actually mean that it's about average, right? So if I say to you, Mobukara Hajimaru Tansaku Eiyu Tan is a 5 out of 10 show, that's different from me saying it has a 5 on Mal. Because that's what I think this is. I would probably give it a 5 out of 10. Maybe a 4 if I had to. If it had stuck to the more slice of lifey. Personally, this is my opinion. They would never have done this, of course. But if the show had just been a continuation of how it was in the first 2, 3 episodes, where it was just the 3 of them, just the main guy and the 2 summons, and they were just progressing through the dungeon. I didn't keep introducing new characters, because now the party of people is like main guy, the 4 girls, or I don't know, man. It's too many. Is the point? It's too fucking many. It's like main guy, 3 girls, childhood friend girl, 2 servants, and then the Shota. I've run out of fingers because I'm trying to help, but that's like 8 or 9 people. I don't know. It's too many fucking people, is my point. It's too many fucking people, and none of them are real. And it's too focused on doing stupid shit instead of just being fucking cute girls and fighting monsters and hanging out in a dungeon and progressing slowly. There's lots of shows like that are just, hey, I'm in the fantasy world and I'm progressing my skills, and those shows are good. I like those shows and manga. I like those ones. You know, there's loads of them. You don't have to have like drama happen. You don't have to have any bullshit. Um, I don't fucking know, man. It's definitely dipped. It's definitely dipped. I wouldn't say it's swan dived. I wouldn't say it's nose dived. It's definitely dipped. Around episode like 7 was where it became noticeable. Anyway, I'm gonna go be a real person for a second. I've just remembered they actually did set this up, and what I mean by that is there's one scene like 3 episodes ago where this girl Miku is in her room and she starts coughing. They did actually set this up. It's a blink and you'll miss it moment, but I did notice it, and then I forgot that it had happened until I just remembered that happened. So she didn't just die out of nowhere. Also, she's not dead, obviously. No one actually thought she was dead. But she didn't just die out of nowhere. She didn't just fall into a coma out of nowhere. Because they established that she has some sort of illness by having her cough like twice in one scene. Once. So, fair enough. It rewards an observant viewer. Alright, listen. I just woke up, pretty much. Because I basically just fucking passed out halfway through episode 11. Because it was fucking. I was sleepy. That's all there was to it. So I could not finish this whole show in one night. Um, but we're back. We're gonna watch the last 2 episodes. And then we gotta decide whether we want to watch another anime or whether we want to leave it at that for this video. I might have to start editing this video, see how long it is. If it's already really long, I'll just leave it. But if it's not that long, whoa, spooky! My door just opened by itself. Spooky. If it's not that long, it actually is kind of spooky. I think it's just the window, because the window's open in every room. Gotta get that airflow. What was I talking about? Right, I have another show that I kind of want to watch. And if this video is not too long already, we'll watch that show as well. But for now, I gotta finish these 2 fucking last episodes and then give my final thoughts on Mobu Kata, whatever the fuck. The thing is, right, in this show, hold on, I'm just gonna. The thing is, this you see how they're all like glowing and this bitch is singing. The blue bitch, she can do like a medic amputated taunt, right? She can do a battalion's backup, where she actually it's more accurately the amputated taunt, okay? And she sings and it buffs her whole squad, right? Which is a not unusual fantasy mechanic from RPGs see in an anime. But what is unusual is that when she sings, it's I don't know if it's a different voice actress or what, but her voice sounds nothing like her regular voice. It sounds like a different voice actress. I don't know if it actually is, but it's way deeper. Like a significantly deeper uh voice with like a raised palate, like very good singing technique basically, like basic good singing technique, but that is the opposite of how her voice normally sounds. Like, normally her voice is very towards the front of her mouth and high pitched because she's a, you know, blue lolly character. But when she sings, her voice goes right in the back of her mouth, and the pitch drops, and you get this big, powerful, like, you know, fucking singing, mate. That's not how it sounds at all. I don't know, but I'm trying my best here. I'm trying my best here. I decided to buy the cheapest pizza that they had, frozen pizza, £1.40, I think it was, at my local shop, because I just wanted to see. I didn't expect it to be good, but I just wanted to see if it would fill the pizza-shaped hole in my soul for a cheap price. Which, upon eating it, it does vaguely taste like a pizza. Um, so I'm gonna give it a win on that front. For that much cheapness, it's pretty good quality. On the scale of pizzas as a whole, it's garbage. But for like half the price of the next cheapest pizza, that is of a decent size, I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Anyway, um, let's show. I hear noises. I'm going crazy. Yeah, I'm going crazy. This show, um, is listen. Oh, so what's happened is you got the girl who had an illness, and she's sick, right? And she's gonna die. She's a terminal illness, um, degenerative disease. And the only way to save their friend is that they can find, because health potions don't work on illnesses, they only work on injuries. They make that very clear in the show. They set that up very well. Um, but there is a very rare item called elixir that should cure everything. That you can get as a random drop from mobs. So they start grinding the fuck out of the dungeon to try and get this elixir, especially main guy, because he just ignores everything else. He just goes super hard on the dungeon to try and find this elixir, even on his own, just to the point of exhaustion. And you can imagine where this leads. Eventually, he ends up. Which, first of all, this is pretty good because it gives the exploration of the dungeon. It gives them a reason to do it beyond just it's fun, and it also adds stakes to the whole thing. Like, if they don't find the elixir, this bitch is gonna die, right? Um, and this is like surprisingly late in the show that they introduced this whole plot contrivance, but it's not bad mechanically. It's a little bit clunky. It's a little bit ham-fisted, but it works. And then what happens is he ends up going too deep against two higher level monsters, and then he like almost fucking dies. Right? He barely makes it out alive, which you could expect is what's going to happen. And now, seemingly, that experience has like given him PTSD. Like, he's traumatized by the fact that he almost got fucking killed, which is not something you'd normally see in these kinds of shows. Like, when they ask him how he's doing, when he just managed to survive and he's the doctors getting checked up on, he literally starts shaking and he's like, "Kawaii, kawaii," It's so scary. I'm scared, and that's a type of a level of weakness that these type of isekai shows don't typically have their main character show. I'm telling you, I was right when I said you gotta watch all the media. This also isn't an isekai, but it's fantasy. Okay, um, you gotta watch these weird fucking dog shit fantasy seasonals because they always do something weird. I still am baffled by the fact that this show has such a low rating. Like, don't get me wrong, again, is no masterpiece. It has some big flaws. I've already shown you some of these big flaws. Some scenes that just do not work. But that has mostly passed. That was sort of a slump in the middle. Um, Also, yeah, I am having pizza for breakfast. If that is the case. Um, I did have kind of a slump in the middle. Um, but it's picked itself back up again. Mainly because it's not doing. I mean, also, it not only has it picked itself up, but the animation quality has improved again, like back to how it was at the start of the show. Which makes me think that they just got behind in schedule towards like episode 7, and they were just like rushed for like a few episodes, and then they managed to catch up to themselves again because the animation quality has improved significantly. Like the effects animation and the fights and stuff is back to where it was at the start of the show, which is to say, like pretty much average instead of below average. Uh, so yeah, that makes me think that there must have been some sort of production issues going on behind the scenes, and they must have been short on time. Uh, which is not that uncommon for anime, obviously. But this is the last episode, and I'll be curious to see what happens. It looks like this guy is so traumatized from being almost killed that he's gonna give up on the dungeon. Okay, we're in the last like minute of the last episode. Boom! Power pose. What the fuck? That's how it ends? Okay, you don't know who those characters are, but they're very, very minor background characters, which is really weird. Anyway, this show, Mobu Kara Hajimaru Tansaku e Yutan, it's like fucking fine. I don't understand. Like, it's actually very strange that it has such a low rating. 5.86 is so low. I don't understand. I mean, it's not good, but it's what it has is it's janky. It's if it was a video game, we would describe it as jank, right? It's kind of like the animation's a bit janky. The plot points, the beats are there, but their implementation, their timing, their pacing is a bit janky. But just like a video game that's janky, that doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't work, right? Like the mechanics can be a little bit broken, but it's they still function. And I think that's what this show is. It's like not great by any means. I don't think I should feel comfortable giving it anything higher than a 5. It definitely wouldn't go above a 6. But I don't know. It's fine. It was fine. It had some good. It actually had some good moments. There's stuff in the show, like all of the basic world building of the show, I actually really quite liked, and a lot of the plot points were really good. Like the whole. I mean, we're basically set up for a second season, which I doubt we'll ever get because this show doesn't look that popular. But then again, there's a whole bunch of isekai that I'm like, yeah, no one fucking watched that, and then they got 2 seasons or 3 seasons anyway. So fuck it. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Again, not an isekai, but it's just a sekai. It's not an isekai. Um, but it is. There is the setup for the second season where they're gonna look for the elixir. I liked the ending. I liked honestly the conclusion. The way they did it is quite clever. It's quite. I kind of liked it. Where so if you remember at the beginning of the show, main guy had been spending 2 years just purely hunting slimes on the first level of the dungeon, right? Just to like basically get money, right? Because he was too scared to go to the lower levels, so he wanted to grind slimes for a long time in order to get some money and in order to level up. He didn't really care if it took him a long time. Uh, And then, because he killed so many slimes, he got a skill which is like um god of slime killing type thing, right? And it's played for comedy in the first episode. It's like, really, I've killed that many slimes? And then they basically, and then he gets the lucky golden slime and he gets the summons, right? He gets the servants, these two bitches, right? uh, and then the show kind of goes on and they go deeper in the dungeon, whatever. But then he gets PTSD from being almost killed. After overdoing himself because he wants to find this elixir to cure his friend. And so what he decides to do is go back to the dungeon and just farm slimes on level 1 again. Because his King of Slime fucking skill, plus another skill that he got at some point, which is called an Attractor, which means he's more likely to get rare drops, which I already told you about, right? It's this bitch, right? He's more likely to get rare drops, plus he's like got extra slime skills. So actually, the best option is to grind for rare slimes on level 1 until you get a rare drop, uh, which is like kind of clever. Like, I don't want to say it's a genius move, but it's a clever use of the mechanics you've set up in the world in order to solve this problem. And it makes for a nice full circle moment where it's like the lesson is, hey, don't like push yourself, don't do all this dangerous shit where you're like trying to save someone's life, but you're putting your own life at risk. It's like your friends are gonna worry about you. Is it even worth it? Blah blah blah. It's like, don't do that. You know, there's nothing wrong with just killing slimes on level 1. And then, it all works out in the end. With still, he doesn't get the elixir. He finds another summon who's like a healing type summon who like heals the girl partially, but she can't heal the girl fully. But now it's interesting because there's two different ways the story can go from here. Like, either he can find the MacGuffin, or the party can find the MacGuffin, the elixir to fully heal the Hikari, the sick girl, or the healing type summon can get leveled to the point where she can heal her. And they even mention that, and they're like, I don't know what to do, but hey, we'll just play it by ear. We'll just sort of see what happens. Both options are good. And for now, Hikari is healed partially. It's kind of sick. It's kind of like, hey, we've got a bit of a soft reset back to the beginning, but now everyone's stronger, and we have a much larger party with lots of characters who are all friends. I think the show is fine. I don't think it's that bad at all. I think that there's mechanically, it's doing some interesting things. Um, and honestly, I don't have that much else to say about it. So I guess I'm gonna try editing this video together and see how long it is.